Guys, so we are going to read chapter 31. So, they're gone, Flora jumped. Sophia had come up behind her silently. Flora turned back to look at the tracks. I figured you were with them. I wasn't invited, Sophia stepped forward and cleaned an ear with a paw. She sneezed and shook her head. Oh well, why would a cat want to go on a journey with where she could end up dead and all for the sake of others? She paused. Still, I can't help but wonder about Oscar. He acts like he's better, but I think he's still sick. He is still sick, and I'm going after them. Flora's own words surprised her. She hadn't known that she was going to say them, but she knew that they were exactly right. No, you're not. You'll never make it out there. You weren't made for South Pole adventures. Flora gave her an icy look. I think I know by now what I was made for. If you stay here, we have a good chance of getting rescued, said Sophia. Getting rescued is good, said Flora, if you're a cat. She stepped in between the sled tracks. Like you said, no one can resist a cat. But pigs don't get rescued. They get fattened up for later. Sophia followed, rubbing her side on Flora's hind legs. Aren't you afraid of dying out there? Nope, said Flora. I'm afraid of being afraid for the rest of my life. Well, best of luck and happy rescues, she said. She took a few steps. You'll regret this decision, Sophia jumped in front of Flora. Flora stepped around her friend. Maybe, but I think the captain is right. Oscar and Alaric aren't in good enough shape to make it on their own. I believe I can pull the sled as well as any dog. Speaking of the captain, what about him? He needs you. He needs the food, and that will be coming on the sled. He needs the food that will be coming on the sled even more. Sophia looked back at the camp, but then Flora trotted off again. The cat dropped in behind and stayed on her heels. Finally, Flora spun around in a cloud of powder. What are you doing? Sophia shook the snow off her ears. You're not the only one who can be stubborn. Flora felt a shiver in her knees, and it wasn't from the cold. It was a shiver of hope that she had a teammate and would not be alone in the emptiness. That was selfish, though. Out there was no place for a cat. You're hardly bigger than a snowball. You'd just be a burden. At least I don't sink into the snow up to my knees with each step, said Sophia. Go home, Snowball. I'm not going to stay at camp and be alone. It doesn't work for me anymore. Then you're a fool. I used to be a fool, said Sophia. A stubborn fool. I didn't know enough to stand by my friends. Now I'm just stubborn. Look, we've got a long way to go. If the pig among us can manage to stop being so hard-headed and independent, it will be a lot easier on the cats. I can't believe a cat is lecturing a pig on being too independent. Flora started out again with Sophia right behind. Despite what Sophia had said about her hooves, Flora didn't break through the icy crust. She clipped along easily, moving with the swishing of her coat and the tapping of her hooves, and there was nothing else to hear. Sophia followed on such silent feet that Flora had to turn her head to see she wasn't alone. That was when she noticed the camp was disappearing from sight behind them. I hope you know how to take care of yourself, Sheriff. She said from the front, because I don't know how to take care of either one of us. The two animals kept up their easy trot at first. But by late afternoon, the sled tracks led into an icy field, and that looked as if someone had chopped into it with a giant axe. Great big chunks of ice were standing on the end. The sled tracks weaved in and out and over those frozen boulders. Flora stopped, and Sophia came up alongside. The wind had picked up, blowing the ice pellets sideways in little white waves. I wonder if we should press on or stop here for the night. Flora pretended to think about these words, but she was watching Sophia out of the corner of her eye. She hoped Sophia, with her practical nature, might have an idea. But Sophia was watching Flora. Finally, Flora couldn't help herself. Did Oscar teach you any tricks about staying alive out here? If he did, I wasn't paying attention. I think I missed the lesson myself. Sophia looked back the way they had come. It was starting to get too dark to travel. Flora walked forward a few steps and found herself out of the wind behind a large ice boulder and began to hollow out a spot to spend the night. Her hooves were not as good as Oscar's paws at digging snow, but she managed to make a rather shallow nest. Sophia made her own nearby and ended up between Flora's feet. It was a cold sleep that night, interrupted often by the howling of the wind. No dreams came. Flora breathed in Sophia's soft smell and wondered how Oscar was doing pulling the sled. Hang on, she wished she could tell him. We're coming.